Okay, so I've been adjusting these lights for the last 10 minutes. I cannot get it right. So, and let me find my mic. Alrighty. So we will see if I'm going to okay, let's see. Get my voice on here right. Okay. Whew. So, hey everybody. So I just wanted to come and just have a little talk about clinicals. So I've been hearing a lot of questions about clinicals. Should the instructor be there? Should the instructor not be there? So I just wanted to kind of give y'all just a little synopsis on that. So if you are CNA students, past, present, future, just know that also instructors, brand new instructors, because with brand new instructors, you really only know what you've been told, right? 'Cause I've actually talked to a few instructors, and they were like, "Well, I didn't know that. They didn't tell me at the school I taught at." So, just for anybody who just wants to know, general quick conversation, y'all. Nothing fancy, nothing scripted. But yes, there should be an instructor with you at the clinical site, which is so the CNA program is 3 parts, right? We have theory, which is the lecture, the written tests, and all that stuff. Then you have the skills part, hands-on skills, the labs where you do the pericare and ambulate a client, transfer bed to wheelchair, all that fun part. Then when all that's done and you pass all of that, then you go to clinicals. And that means you're going to the nursing home and you're going to apply all the skills on humans that you learned in class, right? So when you go to clinicals, I mean, you don't have mannequins, you don't have students. I mean, that you're working on, you're actually working on real people, which means there's a bit of a liability, correct? So that means that an instructor needs to be there. You all should actually do a quick little orientation. We used to do orientation at the school that trained me initially 11 years ago, long time ago. Was it 11 or is it 12? Long time ago. I can't even remember no more. But we did an actual orientation. We would finish up with the lecture and the skills lab, and then we would go to the clinical site for 2 hours. We go there, we would meet with the contact person, which sometimes it was the marketing director, sometimes it was the director of nursing, just depending on who they had assigned, right? And we have our own little space. So we go in and they would talk to the students, talk about the expectations, all those types of things, then we get a tour, the passcode of all the doors, because the utility rooms usually have a passcode of some sort, right? Where the students can park, where they cannot park, to where they take breaks at, what they are allowed to do with the patients or not allowed. For instance, if a patient asks a student, "Can you help me get in my wheelchair, please?" The student is not allowed to do that unless there's another CNA with them, the instructor, physical therapy, somebody who has experience, somebody who's licensed, right? So we let them know that those are some things they cannot do, and things they can do, if the patient's trash can is full, of course you can empty it. The patient says, "I'm done with my tray. Can you take this away?" Of course you can do that. So those are the things that we did in our orientation, right? And after that, we went on the tour. We let the students meet a few of the patients. We let them, residents as we call them. We also let them introduce them to the nurses. If the nurse had time. I don't know if any of you who are nurses, you know that we don't really have a lot of time when we're pushing that med cart. And introduce them to some of the CNAs. That way things were a little familiar to them. This is where the dining room is. This is the independent dining room, et cetera, et cetera. So we would do that for 2 hours, right? And then we usually did that on a Friday, because we usually finish up everything. And then on a Friday, we would all meet up at the clinical site. And then Monday morning, clinicals would start, which is actually really good, because that way the students knew how to get there. They knew where to park. They had a good rundown, right? And so then once you get in there, the instructor is supposed to be with you. And, the instructor tells you to meet me here. You're not supposed to go into the building without the instructor, because if something happens, you need to have a person in position of authority that's responsible for you to be there. So, say for instance, the instructor said, "Okay, we're going to meet at the back parking lot. Once we all get there, we're going to walk in the door together." Then you get in, the instructor takes you, we go find the schedule, we assign you to the CNA for the day, sometimes one student per one CNA, short staffed, then maybe 2 students per CNA. Put them on their run, and then they go with the CNAs. And then instructors making rounds. You know, we're going walking around the building, seeing where the students are, if they have any questions, if the CNAs have any questions. Introduce yourself to the patients. Let everybody know who you are. If those are your students. If the students need any assistance, maybe they're doing something and not too sure if they're doing it the right way. You know, the real world way is different from the state's way, of course. So the instructor needs to be there. You know, the instructor is not supposed to be in a room someplace with their feet up, playing on the phone for 8 hours. They're supposed to be roaming around that building. You're going in and out of that patient's room. Excuse me. Like my voice just went away. When it's time to feed the patient, so we go to the dining room, the instructor is in the dining room with the students as they're feeding the patients. If there's a student who's working the floor with a CNA and they're feeding the patient in their room, the instructor needs to be in there with them, or the nurse or the CNA, because if a patient chokes, then of course who's going to be held responsible? That student. And that's not a responsibility that the student should have. So let's see, make sure I hit everything. So we went to the let's see, making rounds, orientation, the tour, meet the contact person, passcodes. Okay, so I think I hit everything, but this is a pretty quick video. I just wanted to, I've had this question come to me, concerns from students who were left at the facility alone. They wanted to know if that's correct because they hadn't seen their instructor since the instructor dropped them off at 6 a.m. And then the instructor texted them at 3 o'clock and said, go ahead and go home. So, y'all, that is not okay. That puts you in a very bad situation. The facility is not responsible for you. The CNA school that you attend is responsible for you. So don't allow yourself to be put into a position that could jeopardize your future in healthcare, because if something happens, you don't have your instructor to back you up. You can't go to your instructor and say, oh my goodness, this just happened. What can I do about it? Was this right? Was this wrong? Because if your instructor is not there, then you're kind of on your own, left to make those decisions. And that's definitely not okay because you're still training. So if you are left alone, just know that that is not okay. And for instructors, new instructors who are being trained as well, if the person who is training you tells you you don't have to make rounds, you just sit in here, the students can find you if they want to, that's not okay. You need to be out there on that floor. You know, you're going to burn a lot of calories. You're going to get your steps in. You need to be roaming around, dipping in, dipping out. You have 10 students, you need to be checking on 10 students. So that is my spiel on that one, again, because it has come up with new instructors with me, and it has also come up with students who have texted me. Students who have contacted me to ask me if that was okay. So you all just don't be afraid to ask questions. If you feel like you're in a bad situation, I don't know where I'm looking. I'm looking at the light up there. This is, so I don't know if y'all know, but me and the camera does not get along. I'm just trying to get myself used to being on camera. But anyway, ask questions. If you don't feel comfortable, ask that question. There is nothing wrong with asking a question, because you want to protect yourself, and you definitely want to protect the patients as well. You want to protect your future in healthcare. I mean, if you don't want to be a student, drop somebody on accident, and boom, your whole career is over with. Don't let that happen. And if you're an instructor, you're the licensed nurse, which means that it's all going to fall on you. So ask questions. If it does not sound right to you, find out if it's true, if it's right, if it's the way that things are done. Now, different states have different rules. I'm in Washington State. Washington is very strict. But as a whole, from what I understand, doesn't matter what state you're in, the instructor needs to be at the clinical site with you. The duties may vary, but they need to be there. They need to be supervising. They need to be instructing. Okay, y'all. So that is it for now. I'm going to have to edit this video, and maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just put the video out like this and y'all just see how crazy I look. Okay, so anyway, y'all have a enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. Tomorrow's Monday morning. We are back in the trenches, baby. So y'all have a good day, good rest of your day, and have a fabulous week. Let me figure out how to turn this camera off. Ba-da-ba. Turn me loose. Okay, let's see how I look. Am I too far away? I might have to scoot this up a little bit closer because I am in the dungeon. Okay, it's actually working. What angle do I want to be at? I don't know.